I'm Tuong Dung, Dharma name Tien Nia, invites you to delve deeply into the first verse of the Dhammapada from the Mahayana Buddhist scriptures on the YouTube channel Thien Thai in the USA. In the Dhammapada, the very first verse serves as an entryway into the entirety of the Buddhist teachings. Though succinct, if one listens and practices earnestly, it opens the door to boundless wisdom. The verse is, mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief, they are all mind-wrought. If with an impure mind a person speaks or acts, suffering follows him like the wheel that follows the foot of the ox. This verse comprises two parts. The first highlights the pivotal role of the mind, while the second warns of the consequences of a defiled mind. Today, we will gently explore each layer of meaning and extend our understanding to apply these teachings in our daily lives, where each of us, whether layperson or monastic, is gradually learning to master our own mind. 1. The mind as the forerunner, the root of all phenomena. Among all phenomena, the mind is the root. Before a word is spoken or an action is taken, it originates in the mind. The mind is like a king. The body and speech are merely its servants. If the mind remains still, then the body and speech will not act. People often liken the mind to a conductor, with speech and actions as the orchestra. If the conductor is filled with compassion and calmness, the symphony is harmonious. If the conductor is agitated and angry, the entire orchestra becomes chaotic. The first line of the Dhammapada, mind precedes all mental states, serves as a gentle yet profound reminder. It tells us that true practice doesn't merely involve restraining the body and speech, but requires us to return and cultivate the root, the mind itself. 2. What are phenomena? And how does the mind influence them? Here, phenomena refer not only to the teachings, but to all psychological and physical occurrences. Everything that exists in the universe, from a falling leaf to a fleeting sadness, is a phenomenon. When the Buddha says, mind precedes all mental states, it means that all experiences we perceive and live through are initiated by the mind. When a person looks at a flower, if their mind is pure, they see beauty. If their mind is clouded by sorrow, the flower seems meaningless. Another person hears a child crying. If their mind is compassionate, they perceive a need for comfort. If their mind is troubled, the crying becomes a nuisance. Clearly, the mind creates our world. The world isn't pre-existing, the mind paints it. 3. The imagery of the wheel following the foot of the ox. The Buddha employs a very familiar image, a cartwheel following the foot of the ox. This signifies inseparability. Once the mind is defiled, speech and actions generate karma, leading to suffering. Like a shadow follows the body. Like an echo follows a sound, like a wheel follows the ox's foot. This is an inescapable law. Just as a seed sown in the earth will sprout when conditions are right, a defiled mind is the seed of suffering. Even if we don't see it today, it's silently germinating. We must not underestimate a single arising thought. Even if it's small, if it's a thought of greed, anger, or delusion, it can lead to a long chain of karmic consequences, like a tiny spark igniting an entire forest. 4. What is a defiled mind? Why does suffering arise? A defiled mind is an impure mind. It can manifest as greed, anger, doubt, jealousy, anxiety, dissatisfaction. All these states are waves arising from ignorance. A person living in anger sees everyone as detestable. A person living in greed always feels lacking. A person living in doubt trusts no one. All these lead to their suffering. Suffering here doesn't stem from circumstances, but from the mind creating a suffering world. Like someone wearing dark glasses sees everything as gloomy. Removing the defiled mind, the world naturally becomes bright and clear. 5. Practical consequences when the leading mind is unwholesome. In daily life, we observe many individuals who are intelligent, well-educated, and hold high positions but are constantly anxious, irritable, and fearful. Why? Because they cannot master their minds. Some are wealthy yet always fear losing money. Some are successful yet constantly worry about others surpassing them. These are manifestations of a defiled mind. Consequently, they suffer from their own minds, not from external harm. If we utter a harsh word to a loved one, we later feel remorse. If we act wrongly out of anger, even if the other person doesn't blame us, we still blame ourselves. That suffering is the result. Following like a wheel. 6. Returning to the verse. If with an impure mind one speaks or acts, suffering follows. This is the Buddha's warning, not a threat, but but a statement of reality. If the mind is impure, suffering will ensue. This suffering isn't a punishment from anyone but arises from our own actions. He clearly states, if with an impure mind a person speaks or acts, suffering follows him like the wheel that follows the foot of the ox. Thus, it's not only when we act unwholesomely that we suffer, even when an unwholesome thought arises. It already seeds suffering. Therefore, in practice, we shouldn't only focus on restraining speech and actions but must also guard the mind. For the mind leads all. 7. How can we prevent the mind from becoming defiled? The Buddha teaches morality, concentration, wisdom. Morality guards the body and speech, preventing unwholesome actions. Concentration stabilizes the mind, preventing agitation. Wisdom sees clearly the impermanent and non-self nature of the mind, leading to letting go. A practitioner cannot lack mindfulness. Mindfulness is the light illuminating each arising thought. When we recognize anger arising, it weakens. When we acknowledge greed, it loses its grip. Therefore, a practitioner needs to turn inward, observing the mind like someone sitting by a riverbank, watching each wave pass without jumping in. The mind gradually becomes tranquil like a calm lake. 8. Defilements are not innate but habitual tendencies. We aren't born with anger, nor are we inherently greedy or selfish. These defilements arise from habitual tendencies, habits formed over time, from past lives or daily conditioning in this life. Each time we become angry without awareness, that anger ingrains itself in our consciousness like an ink stain. Each time we crave without letting go, that craving etches itself like a wheel track on soft soil. Over time, these become habitual tendencies, automatic reactions. Thus, practice involves gradually erasing these engravings, like someone cleaning a dusty mirror or untangling knots binding the mind. Only then can the mind become light, clear, and pure. 9. Can laypeople master their minds? Absolutely. We don't need to retreat into deep forests or shave our heads to master the mind. Right in our daily activities, cooking, working, interacting, we can practice. For instance, while cooking, if a child spills the soup and anger arises, we recognize it immediately. In that moment, with mindfulness, we can choose forgiveness over scolding. That's practice. That's mastering the mind. Or when a colleague receives praise and a tinge of jealousy arises, we acknowledge it and genuinely congratulate them. That's dismantling old habits, purifying the mind. 10. How does meditation aid in mastering the mind? Meditation isn't merely sitting with closed eyes for hours, but the ability to live fully in the present, without the mind being dragged into the past or future. During meditation, we clearly see how easily the mind wanders, thinking about food, recalling past events, daydreaming anxiously. But when we observe the mind's wandering, we no longer let it control us. We're like someone holding a kite string, watching it flutter, but never letting go. That's meditation. That's mindfulness. That's mastering the mind. From the clarity gained in meditation, we apply it to daily life, walking, speaking, thinking, all with awareness of each mental movement. Each step becomes sacred, each glance filled with compassion, all illuminated by the light of mindfulness. 11. A pure mind reflects a pure world. Some reside in deep forests, yet their minds are filled with distractions, leading to suffering. Others live amidst bustling cities, yet their minds remain untainted, leading to peace. It's not the environment that disturbs the mind, but the disturbed mind that perceives the environment as troubling. The mind is the root of both hell and heaven. When the mind is calm, any place becomes a pure land. When the mind is agitated, every place becomes a hell. Therefore, practice involves turning inward, taming the wild mind to return to its inherently pure nature. 12. True happiness doesn't come from external sources. We often believe that having enough money, love, or fame will bring peace. But the truth is, if the mind isn't tranquil, even possessing everything leads to suffering. A person clutching wealth yet unable to sleep, can money save them? Someone with a beautiful spouse and obedient children, but constantly jealous and fearful of loss, does that love bring happiness? Therefore, the Buddha doesn't teach us to seek externally, but to return inward, mastering the mind to live peacefully in the present. 13. The outcome of a mindful life. A person who lives mindfully, regardless of their environment, can smile at themselves. They don't easily anger, aren't easily tempted, and don't get entangled in gossip. They can listen to others without reacting hastily, let go when necessary, and pause when sensing potential wrongdoing. This is inner freedom. No one can grant it, and no one can take it away. It's the fruit of mastering the mind. As taught in this first verse of the Dhammapada, the Buddha has handed us the key to liberation, our own mind. We must guard it ourselves. 14. In summary, a brief verse with boundless meaning. Let's revisit the verse once more. Mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all mind-wrought. If with an impure mind a person speaks or acts, suffering follows him like the wheel that follows the foot of the ox.